Have you ever wondered what it feels like to stand on a wire, thousands of feet in the air, with nothing but the sky around you? Now imagine doing that over roaring waterfalls, the Grand Canyon, or even an active volcano. Sounds insane, right? Well, that's just another day in the life of Nik Wallenda, the king of the high wire. But here's the real question. What drives someone to put their life on the line for a single step forward? Today, we're diving deep into the incredible life and death-defying feats of Nik Wallenda, a man who's turned walking on air into a legacy. Nik Wallenda wasn't born with his feet on the ground. He was practically born on a tightrope. As a seventh-generation member of the Flying Wallendas, Nik grew up in a family where walking on a high wire wasn't just a career, it was a way of life. His great-grandfather, Carl Wallenda, was a legend in the world of daredevil stunts, known for his gravity-defying performances long before safety harnesses were even a thing. But Nik's path to fame started earlier than you might think. When he was just 2 years old, he told his mom he wanted to walk on a tightrope. Imagine that, a toddler dreaming of balancing in the sky before he could even properly balance on solid ground. By the time he was a teenager, he was already training on wires in his backyard, preparing for the extraordinary feats that would one day make him a global sensation. Fast forward to 2012, and Nik Wallenda was making headlines around the world. Why? Because he became the first person to walk directly over Niagara Falls on a high wire. Think about it. Millions of gallons of water crashing down below, mist soaking the air, and gusts of wind threatening to knock him off balance. Most of us wouldn't even want to stand near the edge of the falls, let alone walk above them. Here's the kicker. ABC, the network broadcasting the event, made Nik wear a safety harness. For a man like Nik, this felt like breaking tradition, as the Wallendas were known for performing without any safety gear. But even with the harness, the walk was nothing short of extraordinary. He crossed the 1,800-foot stretch in just 25 minutes, and as he stepped off the wire, he dropped to his knees in a prayer of gratitude. It was a moment that cemented his place in history. But here's a wild thought. How do you even train for something like walking across Niagara Falls? Is it all about physical strength, or does mental focus play an even bigger role? Keep watching, because we're about to reveal how Nik prepares for these jaw-dropping feats. 1 year later, Nik was back at it with an even bigger challenge, crossing the Grand Canyon on a tightrope. This wasn't just any walk, it was a battle against nature itself. The 1,400-foot-long wire stretched across a canyon with a 1,500-foot drop. Basically, no room for error. Oh, and did I mention there was no safety harness this time? The conditions were brutal. The wind was so strong that the wire swayed back and forth, and Nik had to adjust his balance with every step. At one point, he even crouched down on the wire to steady himself. Imagine being 1,500 feet in the air, hearing nothing but the wind howling around you and knowing that one wrong move could be your last. It's the kind of pressure most of us can't even imagine, but for Nik, it's just part of the job. What makes this feat even more impressive is that Nik wasn't just walking, he was carrying the weight of his family legacy. The Grand Canyon Walk was a tribute to his great-grandfather, Carl Wallenda, who famously said, "Life is on the wire, everything else is just waiting." For Nik, every step was a way of keeping that philosophy alive. If the Grand Canyon wasn't enough to make your palms sweat, let's talk about Nik's 2020 stunt over the Masaya volcano in Nicaragua. Yes, you heard that right, a volcano. This wasn't just a walk over a big hole in the ground. The Masaya volcano is active, meaning there was actual bubbling lava beneath him and toxic gases rising into the air. To make this walk possible, Nik had to wear goggles to protect his eyes from the fumes and special equipment to keep the heat from melting the soles of his shoes. At certain points, he even held his breath to avoid inhaling poisonous gases. The walk was 1,800 feet long, but it felt like a lifetime. This wasn't just about balance, it was about surviving in one of the most extreme environments on Earth. And Nik? He made it look like just another day at the office. And yet, it wasn't just the lava or the toxic fumes that made this stunt so dangerous. The heat from the volcano caused unpredictable wind patterns that made the wire sway more than usual. Nik had to constantly adjust his steps, shifting his weight to keep himself stable. One misstep could have sent him plunging into the molten lava below. Talk about pressure. Here's a question to blow your mind. What would you choose? Walking over a volcano or walking over the Grand Canyon? Both sound terrifying, but which one would you take on if you had to? Let us know in the comments, but hold on because we're not done yet. Let's not forget Nick's daring stunts in the heart of the city. In 2014, he performed not one but two high-wire walks between Chicago skyscrapers. The first was a 500-foot-long walk at a steep 19-degree incline, setting a Guinness World Record. Then, as if that wasn't enough, he blindfolded himself for the second walk. Yep, he crossed between two skyscrapers hundreds of feet in the air without being able to see. What makes this even crazier is that Chicago is known for its unpredictable winds. Nick had to trust not just his balance, but also his instincts. Every step was a gamble, but for him, it was another chance to push the boundaries of what's possible. Here's a fun fact. Nick has said that walking on a flat wire feels almost boring to him now. For him, the steeper the incline, the more exciting the challenge. And honestly, who can blame him? When you've already walked over waterfalls and volcanoes, a flat walk probably feels like a stroll in the park. So, how does Nick prepare for these death-defying stunts? It's not just about physical training, although that's a big part of it. Nick spends months visualizing every single step of his walks. He rehearses in his mind, imagining all the possible things that could go wrong and how he'd handle them. This mental preparation is what allows him to stay calm even when things don't go as planned. Here's something funny. Nick has said he prays so much during his stunts that he might hold the record for the most prayers per minute. Honestly, can you blame him? If I were walking over a volcano, I'd be praying too, and probably crying a little. But here's a thought. What's scarier, falling from the wire or failing to achieve your dreams? For Nick, fear isn't something to run from. It's something to face head on, and that's a lesson we can all learn from. Nick Wallenda's career isn't just about the stunts, it's about the legacy. As a member of the Flying Wallendas, he carries the weight of generations on his shoulders. His great-grandfather, Carl, tragically fell to his death during a stunt, but instead of being scared away, Nick uses that memory as motivation to push himself further. Nick has often said that his walks are more than just entertainment. They're a way to inspire people. He wants everyone watching to believe that they too can conquer their fears and achieve the impossible. It's not just about walking a wire. It's about showing the world what's possible when you refuse to give up. And the future? Nick has hinted at some pretty ambitious plans, including more skyscraper walks and maybe even some stunts no one has dared to attempt yet. Knowing Nick, it's only a matter of time before he surprises us again. Now, here's the ultimate question for you. If you could suggest one place for Nick to perform his next stunt, where would it be? A famous landmark? A natural wonder? Something no one's ever thought of before? Let us know in the comments. Before you go, make sure to subscribe to our channel for more incredible stories like this one. You won't want to miss what we've got coming next. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.